Good evening, everybody. This is Mike Monty, one half of Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast. We're produced out of Indie Music TV in New York. That's Ron Conkema, New York. Yes, again, that's Indie Music TV. You could also catch us on RTF Sports Network. That's RTF Sports Network, the number one growing streaming sports network on the air today. Catch us every Thursday from 8 p.m. to 9 p.m. Yes, we're their anchor show. And catch our rerun on a morning drive time from 10 to 11 a.m. You could also catch us on the Monty and the Pharaoh YouTube page, the Facebook Live Monty and the Pharaoh page, Twitch TV Monty and the Pharaoh page, Spotify, iHeartRadio, Anchor, or any streaming network. We're on it. You can find us anywhere. Also catch us on New York Cable, Channel 115, every Tuesday from 8:30 p.m. to 9 p.m. Also catch us Saturday mornings on Channel 115 from 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m. And catch us Saturday morning at 1:30 a.m. on Channel 20. Soon we'll be coming to Amazon, so catch us there also. We want to thank everybody for the support. And again, please catch us every Thursday, 9 p.m. to 10 p.m., Monty the Pharaoh, Long Island's number one pro wrestling broadcast, new, old, endangered, and let's have a little fun. Talk to you soon. All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty and the Pharaoh, seen only here out of Indie Music TV from Ronkonkoma, Long Island. At the board is Matty Ice, our super producer. Matty, how are you?
Fantastic.
Matty's a trooper, gentlemen, because he just had a bunch of wisdom teeth pulled out.
Yeah. Do you feel any less smart now that you've lost your wisdom teeth?
Yeah, after the surgery, I kind of felt just totally brain dead.
You still got one left?
Yeah, I still got one left, so I have a couple brain cells.
You might want to hold on to that one, dude. We need you.
Yeah.
I got to give you a lot of credit, man. Wisdom teeth, that's a rough deal, man. That put me out for like a week when I was in the Army. Yeah.
You're an Army guy and I put you out for a week.
For about a week.
Really?
My dad said the same thing.
I went right back to work.
Did you really?
But I don't work nowadays, so I really can't say too much, can I?
If anyone didn't know, this is to the right of me is the star of the show, Mr. Jimmy Farrow. Jimmy, how are you, buddy?
Good morning, ladies and germs. How we doing?
Last week we had Jackie the Joke Man Martling on.
That was great.
What'd you think?
Yeah, Jackie's awesome. Jackie's hilarious. Fun to edit too.
Did he meet your expectations?
Yeah, he did. He's awesome. Love Jackie. That was a home run once again. Good job there, Mike. Are
you a bigger fan of Jackie or Howard?
Well, that's not fair. Why do you do that to me all the time? You know I love Howard. I love them both. Am I allowed to like King Kong and Godzilla? Is there a problem?
No, you're not.
Although I know you're a Kong guy.
That's right.
Blah.
We lost Hank Aaron this week.
Wow, I didn't know you were
Hank?
Did not know you were going to hit me with that one.
Of course.
Wow, you suck. When I think of Hank Aaron, you know how old we are, and I say that. I think of baseball cards when I think of Hank Aaron. Remember when we were kids? I mean, you put the baseball card on the spot. Now, Hank Aaron didn't play around here, of course.
Right.
But I always paid attention to him. I remember when he passed Babe Ruth. And, of course, being the son of an accountant, I checked out his at-bats, and I saw that it took a couple more thousand at-bats to go past Babe Ruth. So, of course, I had this chip on my shoulder because I'm a Yankee fan. But Hank Aaron was an ambassador. Hank Aaron was the most consistent power hitter as far as longevity goes. I do believe in the history of this game because although he never was a 50 home run or a 60 home run kind of guy, if you look at his stats, it's 2 decades worth of 35 home runs plus year after year after year after year, plus the championship, plus playing with the great Eddie Matthews and Warren Spahn and all those guys. Legend.
Do you think Hammer and Hank took the juice?
No. Did they even have juice back then? Maybe orange juice. They had, I guess they had some stuff. Reggie referred to amphetamines. Reggie Jackson said that amphetamines seemed to be the drug of choice for the ball players during the 60s, but I don't think roids was
I don't know. I think it's funny when we get to our special guest, we'll maybe talk about this, but I think it's funny that some athletes rather admit that they take amphetamines or use cocaine and admit that they've taken.
That's true. Steroids can sometimes be a bigger curse word than. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Some athletes are very protective about that sort of thing.
All right. Well, we'll be right back after this commercial break with our special guest, MMA and pro wrestling legend Dan Severn.
Elm Logistics for all your logistic needs. Call 631-299-3595. That's 631-299-3595. Elm Global Logistics. Pride, performance, and partnerships.
Jimmy, I got to take a dump.
What?
No. I mean, I need a dumpster.
Well, for all those needs, you need to call Big V Dumpster Rental, Long Island, New York, 631-900-DUMP. The Monty and the Pharaoh Show is brought to you by...
Because wine is your second favorite 4-letter word. California wine, New York attitude. Good fucking wine.
Yeah.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty Nefaro, seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York.
Yep.
Monty Nefaro can be seen on YouTube, Monty Nefaro page, Facebook Live, Monty Nefaro page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Pandora, Twitch TV, Monty Nefaro page, Channel 115 every Tuesday from 7 p.m. to 7:30, and then on Saturdays on Channel 115 at 6 a.m. to 6:30 a.m., and on Channel 20 in just a few hours from now at 1:30 in the morning.
Faro time.
I want to thank the band Wisteria Hall, who sings the theme song for Monty Nefaro Riding High, led by my co-host Jimmy Farrell, along with his partner Bart Griggs.
Yeah.
You can download Wisteria Hall's music off of Spotify, Reverb Nation, or where music is sold. But let's get to our special guest, our honor, the great Dan Severn. Dan, thank you for coming in. Thank you so much.
Thanks for having me.
Very rare appearance, you coming into the Northeast, right?
I don't get out much these days, you know.
Yeah, well, how are you holding up these days?
I'm still killing it.
Still killing it?
Oh, I'm still killing it.
In front of live audiences?
Well,
How are you pulling that off?
No, it's, I
Okay.
go by a little bit different set of rules right now.
Okay.
What people don't, okay, have you ever watched the movie Fight Club?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
What's the number one rule of Fight Club?
What was the number
What is
one rule
it?
of
What
fight?
is
You're the
it?
fight guy.
Tell me.
Don't talk about Fight Club.
Oh, there you go. That's right. So you
So-
can't talk about what you're doing.
Exactly, but
Dan, how old are you right now?
Wait a minute.
62, going on 63.
And you look like
Well,
fantastic.
it's only because I put in a fresh coat here right now. Okay,
Oh, yeah,
it's like it's everything is white. It's snow white here right now. I mean, eyebrows, mustache, hair. I'm just glad I still have something that I can throw a little bit of product through, and I would actually give a shout out to them. But they're not sponsoring me yet, so we'll work on that.
Look at me name. Well, maybe they'll sponsor us. We'll be all right.
There you go. It keeps the mustache looking dastardly.
Look at you.
Dastardly.
Yes.
Is
Pretty
Muttley coming too? Dick Dastardly
Muttley.
over here. What? Yeah.
Well, dastardly gives you triple points and a crossword puzzle most of the time.
Oh,
So.
nice.
So let's jump right into politics. You happy that we have a new president of the United States?
Can I?
He's like, oh.
Don't listen. You only isolate yourself from half your audience.
I like to drive around this one, Dan.
Can we just go right on to the next question, because I don't think there's anything. I like to think of myself as a positive, rather effervescent type of individual.
Right.
So I would simply just say, next question, please.
Yeah,
Because I
yeah.
try to be at least kind.
Yeah.
I try to be kind.
Yeah.
Right now,
Besides, there's nothing positive involved with politics. I got you.
We live in a world right now that there's some people that need to be taken out and publicly flogged.
Oh, yeah, well.
Good old-fashioned publicly flogging
Yeah.
or something like
We'll
this.
discuss
Bring
the-
back some old school stuff.
We'll discuss the list off the air.
Well,
Okay.
Yeah,
you're from Arizona, right?
Well, no, I'm born and raised Michigan, but I went to college at Arizona State. So I lived for a decade out in Arizona from 76 to 86. First 5 years as a student athlete, and then the second 5 years as a wrestling coach. And then job opportunity opened back up at Michigan State University, and I coached there for another couple of years. So I tell people that the sport of wrestling, I've been involved in now 6 decades. I started back in junior high in 1969, so I've got the 60s, the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, 2000, 2010 and above. Well, now we're into the 2020s and above. It's kind of look like, is Dan Severn done? Oh, wait to be seen. I don't think I'm done yet, because although I may be 62 going on 63, I don't look it, I don't act it, I don't move it.
That's great.
So,
now you're from Flint, Michigan, right?
well, again, Montrose, Michigan. I always had to specify that, because a lot of my friends growing up, I went to Montrose Hill McCloy High School. They get mad all the time. Why is it they always say Coldwater? I go, they wanted, where do I live now?
Yeah.
So I say, I hail from Coldwater, Michigan now, but I've only lived there since, I think, 1992 is when I moved to Coldwater, Michigan.
Because you're famous from Michigan, and then also Michael Moore is from Michigan, too. What are your thoughts on Michael Moore?
Michael Moore?
Well, again, it makes it up. I mean, I hear things about Michael Moore and a few other people, stuff like that. I mean, I'll just say he's a rather interesting cat. I guess. Once again,
Would you like to beat his ass?
Oh, my God!
Or publicly flogged? Publicly flogged again. I mean, those are. I always look at it as we're taking the best of both worlds. We always talk about how unfit a lot of our children are. So So let's kill two birds with one stone. Let's take all of our physically unfit kids and let them go out there and do the flogging on those people. So
interesting.
We're killing two birds with one stone. We're giving the kids some exercise.
Builds up their muscle tone.
Yeah,
very interesting.
That's a good idea.
Fighting, wrestling, acting. You've done all these things. Which one do you like the most?
Well, again, the thing that's been my theme throughout my entire life has been my amateur wrestling career. So I mean, it is the vehicle that has opened up all these other doors. Because what I always tell people, because they tend to get it wrong, my first profession was professional wrestling. Mm-hmm. Most people thought I went to the cage fighting type of stuff, and I use that term cage fighting because the mixed martial arts term did not come about until, like, I think 2004, 2005, 2006, somewhere in that range. And it was a good friend of mine, Jeff Blatnick, that was working with the various athletic commissions, and he's the one that coined the phrase mixed martial arts. These athletes come from such a variety of martial arts background. It might be amateur wrestling, it might be boxing, kickboxing, Muay Thai, karate, kung fu. There's always some type of stand-up art with a grappling art that was combined. So he was a guy that had to kind of smooth it over, because a lot of your politicians, especially like a Senator John McCain, he was a big advocate of trying to do away with it and looking upon it as a very barbaric sport. Mm-hmm. And and I sort of became sort of a front man for them, because I was that guy. I don't have tattoo on my body. And I work with law enforcement, corrections, air marshal, border patrol, militaries. I kind of look like G.I. Joe because I have a Douglas Dwight chin and I have a mustache. I look like one of them. So it has served me well over the years.
How hard was it going from, the amateur wrestling into something like cage fighting?
Well, I mean, it was the hardest part. The cage fight, not. Professional wrestling, a complete 360. In amateur wrestling, I was great about. In amateur wrestling, you learn to tune out things. And what I mean by tune out, typically I'd be going to countries that a lot of other countries despise the United States.
You experienced this?
Oh yeah, no, they despise the United States, but for different reasons. Again, most of it is because of what type of propaganda machine their government is spewing out about America. Okay. I mean, which is, if we want to fast forward to today, and all the propaganda that has been going on for the last 4+ years, and which will endure for who knows how much longer, but a
long time probably.
But it's these other foreign countries, they have experienced this for a great deal of time, so that it was pretty common, as I represented a United States team, to be booed and stuff like this. So I learned to tune out the audience. And we even had to learn to tune out the referees and stuff like that, because typically they were from some part of the communist bloc. And there would always be 3 referees. There would be a main referee on the mat itself, but then there would always be 2 side judges. In order to actually score points, 2 out of 3 of the judges had to confirm, was that a 1-point takedown? Was that a 2-point conversion here? Was that a 4-point throw? And you had always had 2. If there would be a lot of times, there would only be 1 referee calling it, and then as you looked over to one of the side judges, the side judge would be either tying his shoe, looking the other way, stuff like this.
Getting coffee.
Again, okay. But when the Russian opponent or whatever, that you're going to get that rep that came from that communist bloc, they would be getting their points. So to be screwed over, to be booed, was pretty much commonplace. So half the time I said, when you walked out there as an amateur wrestler, you had to not only beat your opponent, but you had to beat 2 out of 3 of the referees on top of that. Right. Now, that's a big difference between that and now professional wrestling. You're looking for a certain reaction from that crowd. What is your persona? If you are that heel, I want that negative reception from the crowd. If I'm that baby face, I'm looking for that positive reinforcement, the cheers, the yays, and the whole nine yards like that. The referee is working with all of you.
Sure.
Because they don't want to see this. So they're part of the show. So I had to rewire my brain an entire 360. But what I tell people that my first profession was, I was a professional wrestler first. And the one element that I took away from professional wrestling that served me well in the cage fight world is this psychology.
Psychology.
To know how, when I go to this location, I know how to get that audience to do exactly what I want them to do. To get them to like me or to hate me. And to get them to hate or hate the match. To where now, as they are booing and chewing the match, how is that affecting? It's not going to affect me. How is it going to affect my opponent? And all of a sudden, they're like, come on. I'm thinking, dude, I can come to you. You can come to me. I have nothing but all night, because these were unlimited time matches back then. It was just until you're either unconscious or you're tapping out or your corner was thrown in the towel or something like that. So I always say that I think everybody should take at least one semester in professional wrestling training to understand the psychology aspect, but then also understand the marketing aspect, because you have to be a marketing machine in that industry. So there are, although I always tell people that it is probably the very worst profession I have ever been involved with, but I have met some wonderful individuals. Now the turds outweigh the wonderful individual. Well, you'll find
Was that a tag team? The Turds?
Dan Severn doesn't like to curse.
Gotcha.
So if you get labeled a turd by Dan Severn, that's almost like the big F-bomb there or something like that being thrown on you there.
Interesting.
Okay? So, but it's
okay.
I like to think of myself as a more sophisticated beast here right
but
now.
dastardly.
My partner was actually calling you the Bruno Sammartino of the MMA world.
I believe he is.
Now,
I believe
you bring
he is.
that up. There's if I can hold you for a moment, I like to tell a story. Out of the blue, Bruno Sammartino calls me up on my cell phone. Now, I had never met the man at this point. And this is early in my career when I'm just running with the NWA belt. And I'm doing stuff with the Ultimate Fighting Championship and stuff like that. I don't even think I was with the WWF yet.
Okay.
Again, now known as WWE. And he calls me up out of the blue. He goes, young man, I hear all the good things that you're doing. Keep up the good work. I like what you do with the NWA belt. Bring back the prestige and stuff like that. I'm thinking, so when I finally did go to a convention, again, I don't know where it was at. I heard that he was going to be there. I went out of my way to go in there to meet him and to shake his hand and say thank you. Because, did he have to do that? He didn't have to do that. So that was great.
Now, you have an advantage, right? Because, true tough guy in the world.
Okay, what do you mean? Advantage of what?
Well,
okay.
Elaborate, Mr. Monty.
I'm going to elaborate on 2 points, because it's
quite the advantage.
It's a double-edged sword.
Quite the advantage.
You are a true tough guy, right? So
you
go into a situation in professional wrestling, you kind of...
Am I pinning him?
Well, I can't
Do I get
imagine
to
him
pin him?
being nervous, right? Because, again,
God. Help.
people are shitting a brick.
Sure.
This is Dan Severn.
Sure.
On the other hand, for example, hate to call out another broadcaster, but, then you have to do jobs for, like, Hannibal, for example.
No.
How do you handle something
How
like
did
that?
you-
A true tough guy who has to sit there and do a job for Hannibal.
You must like him a lot or something.
Now-
What the? on earth?
Let me. I'll put it like this: when I was first working,
Why,
when I was
Dan?
first
Why?
working with the WWF,
Yeah. Okay.
it was rather interesting because the first few weeks, as again you'll find it hard to believe after this is all done because I talk, and there's a lot of people that before they ever seen any of my interviews are like, dude, we didn't know you talked at all. You just stay back there and you scare us. Well,
Right.
Typically. Oh, I'm a quiet person. I am, Dory, a quiet person. You ask me a question, I will give you a very thorough answer. But because it's so thorough, you'll be like, you already have half a dozen other questions. I mean, literally, you could come in here with only asking me one question at the beginning of this interview. Oh, we're good for the next couple hours easily because I'll tell you, not only I will answer your question, I will usually throw on a story to reinforce it on top of that. Again, that's from the decades of being involved in athletics, but then also dealing with people in different sectors of amateur wrestling, freestyle wrestling, amateur wrestling, Greco-Roman wrestling, judo, sambo, tough man contests, no holds barred to mixed martial arts, but then throw in the wacky roll of professional wrestling on there. That's what I always tell people, that if variety is the spice of life, Dan Severn is the spiciest of person I know. because we're dealing with all those kinds of people.
I think he's trying to get you to forget your question. How did you put this guy over?
Well, okay. Thank you. No, again.
Oh, no, you don't, Dan. Come back.
Actually, but I'm glad you said it, because I was going to simply say, now, where were we? That's what I was going to say there. No, I mean, in the wacky...
Was it a roll-up? I didn't see this.
No,
Go on.
In the basic element of professional wrestling, there are times it's kind of going, this guy can't carry my jock strap. and now you want me to put somebody over. Yeah. And it's... I always tell people that in the magical world of professional wrestling, anything is possible. You could have a midget out there with a feather that's going to beat the giant, because he runs up to the giant and he starts to tickle him, and the giant starts to and at the point that the giant falls on his back,
grabs the
tights, and he grabs the leg. 1, 2, 3. Again,
fast count.
Anything can be done in the magical world of professional wrestling, and I leave it at that. And I always tell people, I go, let's keep these two industries separate. Dan Severn also has been involved in movies, known as being an actor, also capable of doing stunts and things of that nature. Most professional wrestlers don't even realize when they're doing their falls and things of that nature, they are doing the most basic elements of martial arts break falls to hit and land and on as much body mass as possible to dissipate impact. If you simply go down on a point of an elbow, so you could take out your shoulder, you could lots of injuries. So the more that you can lay flat and try to also protect the back of your head.
How smooth was your conversion, learning how to take bumps after amateur wrestling? You're not taking those kind
all
of
my
bumps.
stuff was involved in the combat arts first. So I learned from the combat arts first how to protect myself. So now going into professional wrestling, it was easy to convert over. Easy. The hard part was I'm so concerned about your safety that I'm like a pipe wrench. More than one type, they're like, dude, lighten up, loosen up. I go, but I'm afraid with the cocoa butter, whatever you got on, or the whatever that's going to make your muscles shine,
oil.
I may lose my grip on you.
Yeah.
And literally, sometimes I have to pipe wrench down on them, because if I do something wrong, it's not me who's going to get hurt. You're going to get hurt. And ironically, in all the things I've done, between professional wrestling and all the different types of amateur wrestling I've done, the safest thing I've done is cage fight. I've been hurt far worse in my professional wrestling industry. Not at my hands, but whoever I was in the ring with, because they did not know how to execute something properly. They went to their training, and then they ceased. So if we want to put that in today's political realm, you got all this defunding of law enforcement things of nature. No. What you need to do is put more funding into law enforcement training, but it's got to be with the ongoing. And again, only because I work in that industry, working with them, I know that the most training that they'll ever get was when they were going through the training in the very beginning. That was almost like military of what they had to do. But once they're done, there's no more requirements of their weight or their cardiovascular, and now you've got more and more officers that are pushing 250 plus, 300 pounds plus. So is there going to be a foot race or anything like that? No, there's not going to be. They'll qualify with their gun, and they may want some pepper sprays, and maybe a taser, things of nature. That's about it. But there's no ongoing training of hands-on, because the reality is hands-on is going to take place even if it's just a drunken disorderly. So again, I'll go and there's more money, but then also have some standards. But then I'll say that have standards in the United States, and that means everybody have standards and don't be a sellout. So you can put that right on the books right there. Am I happy with today's administration? No. What that guy did, Biden, what he did in the first 24 hours, what he has done to set our country back, and will he feel the repercussions? No. He's bought and paid for. He's a puppeteer.
Do they ever?
So, but no. There are some people that actually care.
You think Donald Trump cared?
Yeah. Yes, they did.
Interesting.
Again, I'm not a full-blown Trumpster or something like that, and people are going to sit back to do it. I'll tell you like this. I once got bashed for being a racist because this was when Obama was in office, and I even voted for Obama, but the person did not know this at the time. But again, when you vote, are you voting for the best candidate? No, you are voting for the lesser of the two evils, because no one's going to meet everyone's fancy as they walk up there. You're voting for the lesser of the two evils is what you're doing. So basically,
sad but true.
The thing that I got heat on was I did a post, and my post was I went to the gym this morning and I had one of the best workouts of my life, and I have President Obama to thank. I was on the elliptical machine as I was watching the TV and listening to his speech, and the more he talked, the madder I became. And that elliptical machine will never be the same, much like our country.
Wow.
And I had anyone who knew me, they're like, "Oh, kudos,
that's it.
kudos,
Now you're in trouble."
Stuff like that. But no,
That's it.
only one person.
That's all it takes.
Hits me with the race card, and
There you go.
I ripped him up one side and down the other side. And then as I got towards the end, I go, and furthermore, you may want to ask some of my black brothers. That's right. I have black brothers from Arizona State University, and furthermore, I'm the first white guy ever to be inducted into a all-black fraternity. So what does that speak about Dan Severn? Dan Severn doesn't hate anybody by their race. Dan Severn does hate stupidity, though.
Well, yeah.
And that's a brotherhood that I will always hate, irregardless of your religion, irregardless of your skin color. Stupidity is stupidity, and I have no grounds for it. And right now inside the United States, we are a stupid world.
And ironically, stupidity is not racist at all. Stupidity is
an
equal opportunity giver.
All the way around.
he'll give it to anybody.
Yeah.
Good old Mr. Stupidity.
Yep.
Dan, you think you were a better cage fighter or a better amateur wrestler?
Ooh.
Oh, amateur wrestler by far.
So,
well, again, I'm just because I so much more time vested. I mean, I started my cage fighting career at 37. Who starts a cage fighting career at 37 and then goes for 20 years beyond that?
Yeah.
Dan Severn does.
I always tell people, find somebody else. Keep going on, because I want. It's not that I'm trying to put myself over. I always tell people, I'm not here to be braggadocious. I'm here to grab you by the scruff of the neck, and I'm going to shove your face into a cow pie of reality. Because is there anyone equal to me? No, there's not. And you just keep the questions coming.
Well,
I'll answer them.
I would think winning 13 amateur championships would make
that's such an old moniker.
There's more. There? How many are there? How many championships amateur wise? Let's get it
easily 100 plus. Wow. Now again, when I say 100 plus, there's 100 plus state, national, and or international titles and or records to my credit. Now I'm being pretty boastful saying this on the air, but try me.
Yeah.
So
I got facts.
You're part of that fraternity. I know this is a little later on, but did you know Dave Schultz or John DuPont?
Yes. Oh yes, yeah. I actually have an old John DuPont wrestling outfit warm up, because I did represent Team Foxcatcher.
Right.
Okay, I represent that team on one occasion. I was with actually a different club known as Sunkiss. They were known as the Sunkiss Kids in the very beginning. Then they just came down to being known as Sunkiss. But I knew Dave Schultz. Very, very incredible talent. And actually, both him and his brother Mark, both phenomenal individuals. Dave transcended in other ways, the way he could speak the language and get along with people.
Were you shocked over the DuPont murders?
Oh, well, of course it was. I mean, because you don't ever expect something like that out of left.
I mean, did you know DuPont at all? Was he crazy?
No, they were trying to recruit me at one point in time, but then when I called some of the wrestlers and I kind of, heard some of the stories that were going on, I'm like, why are you guys there? Still, if this stuff is true. Right. And they're like, well, dude, we're being paid. I'm thinking, oh, well, okay, but is that still right? No, wrong is still wrong. So he was just a very strange, eccentric type of an individual. Now I'll put that strange as strange, not in a good way.
Yeah, I got you.
Speaking of strange and eccentric, at least as far as his character goes, we've had the great Al Snow in studio. Thoughts on the man who trained you?
Al is great.
He's very intelligent.
He's very hilarious, but at the same token, very knowledgeable. And still, yet someone that the WWF/WWE, did not realize the talent that he had.
He was great.
Yeah, no, I tell people that he could put on a match with a broomstick, and actually did do a match with a broomstick one time, and put the broomstick over.
With all respect to Al Snow, I do not think he had the charisma that was needed to be a top-level professional wrestler.
Ooh.
Well,
Charisma?
I will.
The Rock?
I will.
Come on.
Yeah, no, I'm going to. I will go on the other side of the fence right there. I will stand up for L. Unless it's like the WWF did not know what to do with me. At the same token, I was a Brock Lesnar 20-some years before Brock Lesnar ever came along.
Yep.
You know, but it's kind of like you didn't. I'm not going to be the spokesperson, but you pair me up with a Jim Cornette. Let him be the spokesperson.
Yeah.
But that's what I said. That was just a missed opportunity, and you know that's. You can't go back in time. You just continue to move forward.
Was it because of the potential skits or would get angles? Was it because they just were way too outside the box for Dan Severn? Like, I'm not doing this.
Well, no, not really. It's just, again, part of the problem was my naiveness of the industry. I didn't really know how much input I was able to say about it. I kind of figured, they've been doing this for how many decades? I kept thinking that this creative team and this organization that has been around since Vince McMahon, senior to junior to now going into the third generation right now, I would have thought that they would have understood a little bit more. I was kind of like the outsider looking at it, and I looked at this as really as purely an opportunity here. First, I mean, I looked at amateur wrestling was my vehicle to get my college paid for. Because that's what I first looked at that. Well, now I'm in college, I'm doing great stuff like this. You know, now I've got professional wrestling companies that are starting to look at me and think they should look, but I can't go there because if I turn pro now, I lose my amateur status and represent the United States, try and make an Olympic team, world team, things of that nature. That was what I wanted to do first. But then, as of 1992, when the new rule that came down from the United States Olympic Committee that allowed athletes to be both amateur and professional simultaneously, that's when you had like the dream team and the basketball team, something like that out there.
Right.
That changed, so I could now be a professional wrestler, and I could be a cage. I could be a cage fighter, but I could still represent the United States on an amateur level. So,
Dan, the fans are going crazy for you right now. They're
Nice.
loving the interview. Maria Davis says, "Great shoot, Dan."
well, it's not a shoot. I would tell people, they say, let's do a shoot interview. I go, does that mean by being honest?
That's it.
You know, it's
Super
if you want me
Liger.
to tell stories, I'll tell you
Super
stories.
Liger
but,
has a question for you. What is your opinion of Antonio Inoki?
Ooh, nice.
Well, again, I'll say that I only know Antonio Inoki on a very limited basis. I was involved in a couple of different events with the New Japan organization. We wrestled in this event known as the Peace Festival at one point in time. We were a tag team partnership at one point in time. And but that's really all I can really tell you. I mean, he was I look at, he was a professional wrestler that got heavily involved in politics, but then so we've had a number of Americans, professional wrestlers that have also gotten involved in politics on a number of different levels, and so I really don't know what else to say about him.
Well, here's a question for you.
Yeah.
Amateur wrestler.
As an amateur,
Shoot interview. One-on-one with Lesnar, one-on-one with Kurt Angle. Could you beat him?
Oh my God!
Well,
Wow. Wait a minute. I want the Dan Severn from the '80s, by the way, to answer this question.
But see, someone didn't do their study here. That
What-
match,
happened?
that match already took place.
With who? Which one?
Well, who did you bring up?
He said Angle and Lesnar.
Right.
Okay.
Well,
Well,
what did I miss?
there's only
Could only
Brock
logically
is,
could only be Angle, right?
Yeah, Brock is a lot younger. You gotta look
Yeah,
at my age and stuff like this.
Yeah.
So yeah, there was a match between Kurt and myself.
So
Well,
do
fill
tell,
us
what
in with
happened?
that Tom Selleck smile over there. Look at that mustache!
And those
Oh my
eyebrows.
God!
I'll just say it went well for me.
It went well for you.
Yeah.
Okay. Magnum Mangle. Very good.
Well, no, I didn't
Very
say
good.
didn't bang it.
So Kurt really does suck.
He was young in his career, and I was much older in my career.
Okay.
So again, that's what I just say that it's like the first time that I was being interviewed, and somebody said, "Well, how was it fighting Forrest Griffin?" I go, "Who?" And like, well, Forrest Griffin. I go, I know it. I fought him. Now when I made that comment, now they're thinking Dan Severn took one too many shots ahead. And I go, no. I said no.
Had so many fights.
I just tell people I've had 100 plus fights.
Yeah.
The victories are nothing but a blur. The losses, I could tell you everybody I lost to, and I can tell you how I lost because I either let myself down or I let my my guard down here at this point or that point. So I know about the losses. The victories, they just blend.
Thoughts on Ken Shamrock while we have you here?
What's that?
Thoughts on Ken Shamrock, who you obviously have great history with?
Well, I mean, ask me the question. I mean, if you bring it up, I think, what?
How about the way you feel recently with the steroids? I heard you recently talking over the past couple of years involving Shamrock with steroids.
Well, no, I mean it's not that I talked about over a couple of years. I mean, I pride myself in the fact that I'm lifetime chemical free. Mm-hmm. Now, I tell people, find another professional wrestler alone that can make that claim. And I tell people, go and find someone that said that I bought anything from them or that they did this for me or did that for me. You're not going to find it because I didn't do it. Just like I made the comment earlier, I've only did 2 training camps in a 20-year cage fighting career. Find someone. Put it out. I might have did a run on my own. I did ongoing classes at my training facility, but was I training? Like, you look at guys on the current, they're going into training camps from 4, 5, 6 months out. I did 2. Once for 32 days for UFC number 5, and once for 35 days for the Ultimate. I set 2 different records. In UFC 5, shortest tournament victory I ever won. Took care of 3 men in the shortest time they had ever seen.
Yep.
And then in the Ultimate, just over 1 hour between my 3 people. And this is in up in Colorado Springs in mile high elevation. So I said, I always tell people, just think if I would have actually applied myself, might have made something of myself, But I'm happy with where I'm at.
Are you surprised to see Shamrock still going? He's actually still going now in Impact.
Is he really?
He really is.
Oh, okay.
No, he really is. I'm surprised.
I've seen a couple of the matches that I don't think I'd be really all that proud of. But that's again. You're doing great, Ken. But at the same token, I will always razzle him a little bit because people are like, "Do you really have heat with him?" I go,
"Do you?
Do I really have heat with him?" No. But I will.
Okay.
I will keep him in check.
Oh.
Because do I want people to put him in comparison with me? Hell no.
Are you guys crazy enough to possibly get back in the cage one more time? Any shot?
Maybe. There was supposed to have been a 3. Yeah. But I'm not talking about with Vince McMahon. No, there was really supposed to have been a number 3. And actually it was all set up. And the contracts were signed. And yet
somebody got a boo-boo.
And somebody
got a boo-boo.
Somebody 10 days out. 10 days out.
Oh, come on.
Comes up with the boo-boo. But
wasn't that when they tried to wheel Tank Abbott in? Okay, you go, you fight.
Yeah,
I can't do it either.
Well, you know the story better than I do right now.
I'm aware of that one. Yeah,
but the thing is, and that same boo-boo, before they even came to Tank Abbott, they actually came up with a couple. And one of the guys that they came up with, I had to say, I go, you do realize this guy is deceased. What? I go to be one of the easiest matches I ever walked into. Okay, he'll be a no-show.
Oh my God!
Oh my Lord!
But I was dealing with a company that really they were a media outlet. They didn't know anything about the fight world, and they knew nothing really about matchmaking and things of that nature.
They just wanted names, right?
What's that?
They just wanted names.
They were just looking for something, and then because they couldn't get what they were looking for originally, they were looking for just other options, trying to still salvage something. So I mean, it was a very unique concept that they had. They took again, the most entertaining match of the night was Kurt Angle with why am I drawing a blank here right now? One of the best flyers from Mexico. Come on, you guys can help me out with this. A professional wrestler, but a great flyer.
He's from Japan.
I don't know.
From Mexico.
Mexico. I don't know. I don't know. Guys, want to weigh in?
What do you mean, Rey Mysterio?
Yes, there you go. Bang,
it's Rey Mysterio.
Right there.
That was hard.
Good grab.
Perfect, right there. You did it.
I'll tell you, I'm sharp as a butter knife. Go on.
All right, with that, we're going to take a quick commercial break, and we'll be back with MMA legend, pro wrestling legend, Mr. Dan Severn.
We shall return. Butter knife. That's right, folks. Canine Corral. for all your dog daycare and overnight care. Call 631-549-1544. That's 631-549-1544. And Nitro's Garage for all your automotive needs. Call 646-675-2349. That's 646-675-2349. For all your automotive needs, Nitro's Garage. Ask for Jack.
You need a body shop? You need engine repair? Auto Excellence. Collision Specialists. 631-261-6420. That's 631-261-6420. Auto Excellence.
And APB, American Protection Bureau, voted #1 best on Long Island for all your security needs. Call 631-390-9050. That's 631-390-9050. APB.
All right, welcome back to Long Island's #1 pro wrestling broadcast, Monty DeFaro, seen every Thursday, produced out of Indie Music TV in Ronkonkoma, New York. Our special guest, our honor, MMA and pro wrestling superstar, Mr. Dan Severn. Dan, the fans are loving this interview.
Well, what's not to love about the Beast? Come on now.
You ain't kidding.
And if they don't love me, just give me their address and I'll pay them a special visit.
Oh, boy.
Phil Descaris is asking your thoughts on Bob Backlund.
Love Bob Backlund.
How could you not?
I mean, I literally ended up meeting him at an event, actually in New Jersey, in Atlantic City. It's known as the Martial Arts Hall of Honors event. I mean, it's like 1,800 people show up for this event for their banquet alone. Who knows over the course of the Friday, Saturday that they have all these various demonstrations and seminars that are taking place. I knew of Bob Backlund, but I actually met him through usually on a Thursday night. They have different events that take place, and they had a social gathering, and I had the opportunity to sit next to Bob Backlund and get to just talk with him a great deal. He ended up giving me one of his books. He signed and gave me one of his books, and I always tell people, I read a lot of things. Very rarely do I actually read a book. I just, because I read too many volumes, I read certain things for specific. I ended up reading this whole book, and we bumped into each other. He said, did you ever get a chance to peruse my book? I said, I read it from cover to cover. And he goes, well, what do you think? I said, I think I was reading my own story. I says, so many similarities of our background and stuff like that. And I mean, I was very, very complimentary, but I not just to be, saying niceties to him right there. I really strongly that there's a lot of similarities between the two of us.
Is that the book that you spent a couple of summers ago calling me every day? I'm on chapter
Fantastic
5.
book.
Oh,
Incredible book.
Yeah,
Incredible.
It is. I mean, but he was ahead of. I think he was ahead of his time at the time.
Really? Okay.
We grew up on Bob Backlund.
Yeah, we did.
Hating Bob Backlund for many,
We
many
liked bad
years.
guys.
We liked the bad
Oh,
guys.
We were
okay, I
into
gotcha.
Valentine and Morocco and
But
Sergeant Slaughter.
as you get older, you realize what Bob Backlund meant for the industry. He,
absolutely.
again, I used to go to the Garden every month. I used to sit front
amazing.
row, and
It's amazing.
But again, he was one of these guys that I can relate to because he was such a technical machine out there. He just he knew how to wrestle and things of that nature. And whereas a lot of guys they don't.
And he was over for all the right
and I got to
reasons.
tell you,
For
we
those
used to hate his
reasons.
interviews, but as you get
He's-
older, you
he's
appreciate
He's actually
his
good.
interviews. They were incredible.
Especially when we get mad. Bob Backlund mad? Oh, boy.
Oh, yeah.
Well, the funny
Gosh,
part is
golly.
because he'll put on that suit and that tie, and then he'll start raving and screaming like a madman or something like this. It's like such a contrast. But when you get to really know, he's very down to earth, very likable individual.
Absolutely.
Now, speaking of likable, I'm not so sure that I like the way you word this because he'll come over here and choke me out. So let me see if I can find a
But
better
that's
way.
why it's good that we're
I'm
all-
glad you're
we're
all the way over there. Hey, over there.
I'm on my Prozac today. We're okay. We're okay there, guys.
Great. Two guys with Prozac bouncing questions and answers. Wonderful. Holy imbalance, Batman.
But we're only good for about another, because my Prozac will be wearing off for
It's
sure.
running out. Oh no! Dan, was there ever a fight where you were actually, beforehand? I understand maybe you get butterflies. I would assume that. Was there actually ever an opponent that made you go beforehand? Man, I better be careful tonight. Anybody?
Oh well, I mean, as you were asked this question, a couple of thoughts were already coming to my mind. A question that had been asked previously,
Okay.
and I guess the wording was there anyone that I went out there with ill contempt for? And yes.
How about weary of their capabilities of potentially injuring you?
Well, no, but there was there too. Like, for example, Tank Abbott.
Tank Abbott?
For one of the first times I ever saw Tank Abbott, I saw him knock out like a 400-pound sumo with one punch. But the part was, okay, that was like, okay, he clocked him. But the part that really that got me was as his opponent laid there, his body just stiffened on up in his toes. I mean, what is known as involuntary, I call it the chicken flop. You can't, it's involuntary, but your body all stiffens on up and you start going to shaking that motion. While the guy laid there helpless, defenseless, Tank Abbott went down and struck him again.
Hit him again.
In the moment that he struck him, I'm like, I think my mind, I'm like, you son of a bitch. I can't believe what you just did. I go, how can you call yourself a martial artist or any type of person like that? I'm thinking, one day if I should ever get you inside this cage, evil will have begotten a greater evil, because I could turn on things that most people only wish they could turn on.
When Shamrock backed out, did you request Tank Abbott? When Shamrock backed out, we almost had number 3.
Oh, no, because
I'm just curious how Tank Abbott became that guy, because you must have been like, oh.
No, because I had already done Tank Abbott
at
that point, because I had Tank Abbott in the Ultimate. In the Ultimate,
right.
He was match number 2.
Okay, right, that's true. When you went through all those guys that night, my bad. Yeah. I got you.
But same token, it was.
You would have been more than happy to hit him again, though.
But not really, because I mean, I look at a lot of things as just one and done. I mean, what I did to take on that night, I mean, I did one of the most humiliating things. There was like I took him down and I punished and beat on him for almost 20 minutes. And the only reason that I tell people that I had already been a professional wrestler, so I know how to put on a show. So I already told my corner men, keep me a track of time. I go, when we get down to the 3-minute mark, scream out 3 minutes, but make sure you scream out and I acknowledge you somehow that I heard you. Because at the 3-minute mark, I will allow him to get up off the ground. And I'm going to then, because my whole goal was I wanted to pull off a belly-to-back suplex.
Oh.
In the final seconds of the match. Because not that it would have really hurt Tank. Well, maybe. I doubt it. I think he would have just bounced a couple times. He got it back up swinging because that's his MO. Right. But I was I was already a competitor and an entertainer simultaneous. But then also because I understood the psychology. And what would that have done for Dan Severn's stock to pull off a German suplex in the final seconds of the credenza of the symbols? Yes. That's what I was looking for. Wow. But he held on. He literally, you'll see him holding on the cage as I tried to grab him and try to.
Couldn't you whispered in his ear and been like, "Hey, look, I'm trying this German suplex."
I tried to give the office. He just wasn't buying it. No, at that point, no, wasn't buying it. Let me throw a drop kick, will you?
Who's your best friend in either MMA or pro wrestling?
I mean, it's.
Do you still have any friends?
I've met. No.
Oh my God!
No. There's a lot of people that, as they've got to know me, they like me. Because I always tell people, I'm not going to bullshit you. If you want a straight answer, are you ready for the straight answer to come back? Because that's why I tell people I have no future politics, because the answer is going to hurt your feelings probably. And there's a lot of athletes that come to me because I own my own training facility. I've heard every story in the book, and they all want to pursue this, but what you tell me, I see their lips moving, I go, I just have to pretend, actions speak louder than words. The bottom line. What you're saying is a total contrast of what you're doing. So, people suck. As a whole, people suck.
Agreed.
They say one thing, but they do something else. I say very little. I get over very big because what I do say, especially in the wacky world of professional wrestling, it's the easiest industry. I kill it in that industry all the time because I simply say what I'm going to do, and then I somehow magically do what I just said I was going to do. But that in that industry, that's like, oh my God.
I'm just curious, as far as, you were given Jim Cornette, so you were given a mouthpiece. Did you ever want to speak for yourself
Well, and again, in the beginning, I really had no say-so in a lot of this. I was actually glad, like earlier the question, Jim allowed the NWA belt to be bestowed upon me through a Smoky Mountain. So I'm very appreciative for them. And I really did not know that much about Jim Cornette at that point. And I started paying more and more attention because I'm getting more and more involved in this industry. So I'm trying to educate myself along the way. And then, being paired with him. And he would come out frustrated from the different meetings that he would have with the other people that are injected all their different ideas. He would come out because I'd be in the cafeteria because you had to show up to these Monday night shows so early in the day. I kept wondering, why do I have to be here basically by noon? And a show doesn't start until like 9 o'clock that night. But then I found out why later because of how many derelicts, ne'er-do-wells, misfits, nitwits, nincompoops that are employed by this company. Again, I'm not talking about all the other people that are setting up the lighting, talking stuff like this. The talent that shows, and again, I'm not saying about everybody, but a vast majority of them. And I wonder, where else in the world can you get paid what you're being paid to simply act out? Again, I guess I don't look like I'm breaking any kind of kayfabe. Kayfabe was broke when Vince McMahon himself exposed the industry because he no longer wanted to be regulated by the athletic commissions. I travel usually with two of the most recognizable belts in the world. I always have the NWA title belt there with me, alongside it with the UFC title belt. And when people come up to the table and stuff like that, they regale, and they're always putting over the UFC belt, stuff like that. And they see the NWA belt, and they go, wrestling, like, what exactly kind of, what is NWA wrestling? And they're like, oh, well, just like what you see on television, stuff like that, Vince McMahon organization. And they're like, they always say the same thing, well, the fake stuff. I go, you understand what this other belt is over here? And I go, you say, oh, love that. UFC, that's the real deal. I go, how is it then I've been hurt far worse in this industry than I have been in the UFC industry? They look like puzzling, like I don't know again, but I share the story there because I'm out there with people that don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
And even to be on a WWF show and to be, tombstoned for real, that happened to be live on the show to the point that even Stone Cold Steve Austin, like a little over a year ago, called me out of the blue. Again, I've never received a phone call from a Stone Cold Steve Austin, again, on my cell phone. But out of the blue, he's like, brother, he goes, this is Steve, and he goes, I know we never really talked much when you back in the days and stuff like that. He goes, but recently someone shared a video with me. He goes, and I have to call you on that. He goes, are you okay?
You got dropped on your head, huh?
Yeah, and he goes, because it was the same person that basically ended his career of the surgeons that he had to have.
So we're talking about Owen Hart?
Yes.
Yeah.
So were you saying Owen, was he unsafe?
Well, I mean, when
On that particular move.
on that particular move, yes. Again, that's probably the best way of saying it right there. I mean, there was, you're not supposed. What is the whole premise of professional wrestling? You want things to look as real as possible, but knowing that how many times a year are you going to be doing professional wrestling matches? Now, I would have loved to have been involved in professional wrestling back in the territorial days, prior to the internet era ever coming about. The internet era, in a lot of ways, has exposed. They pulled the curtain back.
Yeah.
So that when you could have worked with the same guy 100 different times in the same year.
Sure.
All over the country, all over the world.
Sure.
To where it's like, you and I are getting in the ring there tonight, the Pharaoh, and we're just simply knowing that we know the routine.
We do?
Yes,
we
do. We know. We know exactly. When I go for the poke in the eyes, you put the block up. You know. Okay.
A couple of these.
Yeah. So again, I mean,
I run that way. Yeah.
But you just know it's magical because it's easier to put in more time when you know how you function. It's usually the first times that. It's the hardest.
Was there anybody in the WWF locker room that really pissed you off?
No, I mean, not really. I mean, I didn't, as I said earlier, just when they were doing like the, Mr. Severn and stuff like that, when the meet me, that was probably the most interesting times, I'll say in the very beginning. But then after that, when I would have at least a one-on-one with them, they understand.
You didn't want to beat the shit out of Shawn Michaels? Come on.
Oh, come on.
Again, I was never really around them. Again, there's some people that they had their egos. And when you start living in a magical world.
Did you smell what The Rock was cooking?
Well, okay. But when you bring up a name like The Rock.
Sure.
The Rock is killing it in the film industry, correct?
Yeah,
but then also Dave Bautista, a number of other professional wrestlers are jumping in, and they're having a great deal of success because professional wrestling teaches you the fundamentals of being in front of that camera. But then also taking on the various personas. Can you laugh? Can you cry? Can you act happy? Can you act sad? I mean, it's just all kinds of stuff that professional wrestling teaches you. You have degrees of body language, talking with my hands, facial expressions, audio. Those are your three major ingredients. And then on top of being know how to bump, which is martial arts breakfall, you're also a stunt person along with you. So you got professional wrestlers are built to go into the film industry. They're actually way undermarketed, and I think that's where a company like WWE, they do have their own little film company, stuff like that, and I think probably should invest more time into it.
We've only got a few minutes left. Speaking of film industry,
yes,
can you tell us a little bit about the movies you've been in?
Well, again, I'll say nothing of any great magnitude. There have been bit parts and stuff like that, but
you were in Rudy.
But I'm gonna say. But the one that probably got the most acclaim was being in the movie Rudy for about about 6 or 8 weeks.
You and Al Snow, both.
Yeah, we'll get Al Snow. A buddy of mine who worked as a wrestling coach, but then also as a football coach, was working with the Kalamazoo football team, and they could not use current college players because of the NCAA rules. So they were looking for former players, stuff like that, and/or big goody wrestlers.
Big goody
wrestlers. Put on shoulder pads, helmet. Which way did you go? Football. They go. I tackle. Yeah, I mean, sure, I could take on this role. But it was great because then I recruited Al Snow and several other professional wrestlers. And the great part was all these other guys were actual ex-football players, and they were taking it so seriously that they were trying to hurt each other and hit for real. And then half the time, Al and I and a couple of these other professionals were playing across from each other, and even like on one kickoff scene, did a kickoff scene, and I'm talking to Al. I go, Al, put your shoulder down. I go, I'll just take a back bump over you. And they shot that. They're like, oh my God! They thought they were going to run out to the stretchers. They thought they were going to carry me off. They're like, no. It was like great, but they love working with us because we made things look great and a little bit over the top. There was it on top, which again, when you look at the film industry, they're looking to entertain you. Whether that's entertain you to make you laugh, make you cry, they're looking for reactions out of you to what's going to make you want to watch it again. And a movie like Rudy, it's kind of like watching a Sylvester Stallone Rocky type of movie because the underdog makes out in the end. He gets carried out the football team. The one and only time that someone got carried out the team. But then also to be down at Notre Dame and to see, and see around some of the things that time era. The only thing is I had to lose the mustache, like everyone that had beards and things of that nature, because it was all based upon early, circa 1970s Notre Dame football.
70s. All right, so you want to tell everybody why you're here in New York?
Plug time!
Plug!
Well, I mean, I'll just do it. I'll simply plug the fact that if people want to know more about what Dan Severn has going on in his life, simply go to my website at dansevern.com. I'm here for a number of reasons why I'm in New York, but if they want to know more about me, you're going to go to my website, and there's a lot of information, but you're not going to be able to. My email and that will be up on there. So if you want to get in contact, you can contact me through email. But if you go to my shop and want to see, there's a cool T-shirt or something like this, you're not going to be able to order it. But because that has been disabled, only because I'm in the process of having it revamped, and there's some products that are being taken off, some new products and some changes and stuff like that. So, but you can still interact with me via email, and I can let you know what stuff I do have. Awesome. And it'll be another, I'll say, 30, 60 days, probably 60 or more, because that's when it comes to Dan Severn, the list to do, that's kind of way down on the list. I got a lot of other things that's a little bit more prioritized than that.
Dan Severn for president.
For president?
Farrow's final question.
Oh, my God.
Uh-oh.
All right, here we go.
We're there already. Okay.
We are there already.
We've been fortunate enough over the years we've been doing this to have a lot of guests in, and I always try to see how they feel, and it always seems to go one way or the other. There's almost no in the middle. So I'm asking you, Mr. D, what's your personal opinion on Vince McMahon?
Well, I mean, Vince carried on a legacy for his father. He did not start the company. What he did for the territories, I think that there would, if he could have worked somehow to keep that going, maybe did a different approach, because his approach was about world domination.
Okay,
that's all it was. Just for I think if he would have looked at a way to where if he could have kept some sort of that territorial theme and worked with them a little bit more, I think he would be in a different place than where he's at.
Interesting.
Being happier and even more successful.
Interesting.
I don't know what's more successful than just signing a deal for $1 billion
that's
to turn over your network.
But there is. Money isn't everything. And that's one thing people talk to me all the time, like going, well, because I wouldn't sell out my soul. I mean, I could have been, with working as the.
Wait, hold on. I see 666 on your forehead.
Yeah,
hold on.
That was one thing that said that I turned down. I saw the people that.
By the way, thank God you didn't do that.
Thank God. But I protect who I am, and I didn't want to be precocious. So again, that just money isn't everything. There comes a point in time that I here's a cliche I use all the time. You have two halves of your life. In the first half of your life, you're going to destroy your health while trying to accumulate wealth.
Interesting. Okay.
In the second half of your life, you're going to start spending that wealth trying to reacquire your health.
I think he's got a point.
Sounds like my life story.
I think he's got a point.
And in the end, you'll give it all away because you can't take it with you.
That's right.
You're right.
Wow.
But most people don't get it yet until they have a scare, maybe a heart attack, maybe a stroke, maybe something to where their doc says, hey, you've got these health issues going on. You better straighten up, otherwise we give you another 3 to 5 before you check out. Like, what? But again, that's the reality here. So I'm a big advocate that health and wealth go hand in hand.
Yep. Can't have wealth without health.
Hard to argue with that, man.
All right, this has been an incredible interview. Thank you, Mr. Severn, for
I
gracing
appreciate
us
you guys
with,
having me out there. Hopefully
coming in.
that might dispel that the beast is not a beastly animal, but he's a thinking machine. He goes way beyond that.
He's way beyond the beast.
Well, yes, but
he's more than
the
just
same
a beast.
token, if needs be, sometimes. Or here, on this other last little story, I was at a business luncheon. And these guys, I mean, they're all execs, suits, ties, stuff like that. I'm a guy that shows up in just a nice pullover T-shirt, I'll say. And as we're talking, the gentleman that sits right to the right of me was such an arrogant shit. I mean, he's bashing guys left and right. I mean, didn't say nothing against me yet, but it all depends on when this conversation. But he's cutting everything down. And then finally, I had my fill. So I leaned in on him, invading his personal space. Invading his personal space to where he had to back up till he hit the back of his chair, and he could not back up any further. And I go, let me ask you a question here. When's the last time you had a good old-fashioned ass beating?
Oh, man.
I said, by the way you're talking, you're way overdue. And I go, gentlemen, this meeting is over. For me, this asshole only represents money. I can get money anywhere I want. I like to know whoever I'm working with, I'm going to enjoy being around. I'm leaving now. And I got up and I left. And every one of the other businessmen, they contacted me afterwards, like, Dan, that was fantastic. We were all thinking it, but you said it. And I go, every now and then, somebody has to be humbled. And I would just think of me as a tool. And I just to be humbled Someone that needed a little humbling right there. I was doing God's work.
Masterful words from Dan Severn. Monty DeFaro can be seen on YouTube, Facebook Live, Monty DeFaro page, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Anchor, Twitch TV, Monty DeFaro page, Channel 15, 7 to 7:30, where you'll see the reduced version of Dan Severn.
It's the abbreviated version. It's not reduced.
And for early rise at 6 a.m. to 6:30, and on Channel 20,
that's you
Friday morning at 1:30 a.m. And soon to be on Amazon. This has been an incredible interview. Thank you so much. This is Mike Monty.
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you once again for letting us come into your living rooms. And until next week, this is the Pharaoh saying, as always, later.